And we shall refresh things. We had a bit of a crash. This computer can only really stream and not do much else, which is an absolute pain. While waiting for resetting, we assembled this. We didn't know the orientation, though. I got a picture on the other computer and done it, so I can't really share the picture here. At some point, the computer will be upgraded, and put that there. I'll put these here, and we'll have that sorted somehow. So, and I should have looked at this bit because this bit is properly assembled. So what we're going to do is fill this crevice. This one's also a very nice tight fit. Lots and lots of PVA glue. I've figured out the assembly of the legs to the feet, though we shall do that a little later until these components are dried. So that's further sub-assembly. So these two nice and done. They're looking good. The lower legs are a lot dirtier due to dirt and build-up and storytelling and whatnot. The upper legs, not so dirty. So we could put these feet on just to have a look what it looks like when it's standing. Make sure that it can freestand. And just have a look at the assembly. And that is pretty cool. So let's allow these to dry. I'll put them within camera view. So they're here. And these are nice and tight. And these are also here. So there's no misunderstandings going on. I might go for the head now. Now the head is assembled, but that's only because it's pinned together, and pinned tightly it is. Now, due to the small pieces, we shall use a toothpick. Get it all in there in the hole and whatnot. If a bit does spill out when they're clamped, not too much of a big deal. Clamp those two together. Use a clean bud to wipe up the excess, and that's looking not too bad. Now, inside the crown, we can put some PVA glue down. There you go. A little bit of glue has leaked onto his eyes. So we're going to use a pointed Q-tip to clean it up in there. And yeah, that almost crashed my computer. It's definitely not a good start at all. So that's a head done. Got the body here, and I believe this goes in there. Quickly check the reference. Looks about right. I'll PVA it like crazy. It's a bit of hole. There's a lot of surface. And there you go. Wipe up the excess. And that's a really, really nice, good join. Want to do much more with him. The lower leg, I sort of want to get the legs onto it first. Though what I will do at least is stick the rear armour on. So we'll test that on. The side skirts and the front skirts, nah. We'll at least get this bit on. So that fits. And we'll at least test fit the side skirts, which they do go on. Though we'll get some PVA. And tomorrow we can glue a little more together. And it's just a step thing. As I've learnt about resin, everyone puts a lot of effort in the cleanup, the painting, weathering, everything. When it comes to the assembly, they rush it. And when they rush it, they ruin the paint and they use glues and they smudge things and it causes all sorts of problems. Two things that I have definitely learnt is, one, take your time with the pinning. If you can make the model stand by itself from how good that your pinning is, nice long pins, multiple pins, all that sort of thing, only the tiniest amount of glue will be required. And the secondly, after painting, allow the maximum amount of time for the paint to fully dry and mature, and then just take your time in the final assembly. What we're going to do is we'll just check that it fits onto the torso. That's a super tight fit. And we might actually just permanently glue that on because that has no consequences. More PVA glues are definitely on the agenda. Can't be too scungy with these cotton buds when they start getting a bit hairy and funny and whatnot. Just reach for a new one. And you can see that here I've got these two large holes. That's where the alligator clip was clipped in for the painting. And the small holes here is what's used for the pinning. So since it's all painted, those alligator holes are of no use to us whatsoever. And they'll be hidden from the assembly and no one will ever know, except for the work in progresses and these videos and stuff, they even existed and how we even painted it. So when they see them on display or pictures or competitions and whatnot. That goes together. And there's another piece we can put in. We can chuck in this guy. And that fits in quite well. And we'll need more glue than that. I completely forgot about the frosters and stuff. And I reached for the really old PVA or the old Q-tip again. Bad form, Alan. Bad form. That's stuck in quite nice. Neaten up the sides. And that's on beautifully. So we'll have a look at the two thrusters. That one might go over here because it's bending out a bit. These are a disaster to work with, so they're not perfect, but they all look alright. Just seeing it all together like this is, that's wow. So the thrusters are really loose. This is an example of not very good pinning, though, because there's such a light component. We're just going to use a lot of glue. That's the wrong one. And you can see in the back where we attached it for whatnot. These came in so many parts and they were so warped and we had to use hot water and all sorts of stuff just to get them together. So I could see clamping it together. There's a ton of glue in there. That's good. We'll get a ton of glue into here. And there we go. Beautifully done. And they're not falling out as easily, and when they're dried, they're going to be nice and permanent. Because eventually I'd like to part with this as a commission and sell it to someone, so I don't want it falling apart or causing any problems for me. Now, probably stick to the most ambitious and hardest one now, the hand and the gun. Need to check on the time occasionally because I'll be getting ready and heading to work in about an hour's time. Yeah, it does suck to work on a weekend. And the gun does also come apart. That's an excellent fitting. The hand fits together quite well as well. It's a little loose, though with enough glue it will hold into place. But yeah, I know, there we go. The tight is nice and fit, so that's what we're looking for. Pour ourselves some more glue. I'll put it around the handle, place the hand, stick it all together, and we are laughing. Get a new Q-tip and just really liberally spread it around. Nice and thick, so that looseness is just filled with pure glue goodness. Put the hand there. A bit more glue at the hole where the pin's going to go. Like so. It's probably a little more than I really need. Again, the excess can be wiped off. Find that hole. Oh, this is tricky. See, if I was using a solvent or resin-based glue, all of this would be smudging and causing problems and all sorts of stuff. Got that sweet slide-in sensation. We just got to get the connection just nice and right. That is a lot of glue. And that feels right. So I'm going to get a bit of tissue and dab and absorb the majority that's required. It's sticking out. I'll have a look at the other side. Not bad at all. Straighten it up a bit, make sure it's seeping out. And now I'm going to put it down and not mess with that. Let that dry and stay. PVA glue insanely dries slow. It dries to a hardish, rubbery sensation over time, though to get like resin hard, the curing stage takes ages for it to go from the outside it skins, and then it just slowly hardens over time until the inside. So if it's nice and thick, it could be months and months and months until it's a nice strong bond. Where applied thinly, the bond is not as strong, though it dries and hardens over a much shorter period of time. So I'm going to assemble it. I'll let it 24 hours, sub-assemble more, let it for 24 hours, and when it's completely assembled, nothing arduous will be done over a long period of time. So these four not going to touch, that not going to touch, these not going to touch. I suppose we can do arm assembly, and surprisingly as quick and as little we've been working on this, that is going to be it. So we'll find out where this fits. It goes there. So it'd be safe to assume the other one goes on the other side. There's the other piece. And that connection's not as great, but I did remember there was one not so great connection. Put him aside. And we'll work on this guy. We know that that belongs to the left side. It uses the shoulder that has a pin going down. So it would be this guy. Do our test fit, because I haven't test fitted for such a long time. Cool. And we shall glue. And that's a very, very tight joint. So that was a good pin job. Nice heavy amounts of glue. We're working on a vintage resin kit by B Club. There's a sculpt and unarticulated version of the Victory Gundam. I have been working on this for pretty much more than 12 months, and it's coming to its climactic ending. Lots of weathering, lots of shading, lots of painting. So that's done. Just a quick test. It goes in there beautifully. Though we're not going to permanently attach that there. Now the beautiful thing about PVA glue is it goes on very wet, and the wet stays wet for a very long time. So we had a part that fell out. We put a bit more. We seal it shut. And then I'm not going to touch it for a while. After a while, I'm going to pull and tug and break and see if I can pull anything apart. And if it does come apart, that means it needs to be re-glued again. Though, because the surfaces have been thickened by glue left over, it's going to have a tighter fitting the second time you go about it. Now, I've got these two arm components, and I'm pretty sure they're identical. That one doesn't really fit there, so it's probably this one, and that fits ideally. So that means this one would fit for this guy, which it does. Cool. And you go there as well. And this is a left arm. That goes there. So that would be glued into place as well. That is a full assembly. Crack us out a little more PVA glue. On our bit of cardboard. PVA glue is completely non-toxic. It's got so many uses. You can thin it. You can add any material to it. Dust, sands, plaster, paint, other glues, you name it. And it's completely compatible. The only big no-no of PVA glue is mixing it with other PVA glues. That can cause all sorts of strange problems. Maybe this doesn't go there. That goes there. No. Alright, I'm not going to glue that. I'll wait until it's finally assembled. Then work that out. I think this goes for the gun. Talking about the gun, I'll just have a quick look. So I just thought that I saw a gap or something, which I do see a gap. There we go. Gaps sorted. So this guy is completely assembled. Put that there. And we shall assemble 1, 2. Where are you? Number 3. Already attached. We add PVA glue on the top here. There's a little bit of excess that seeped over. Not a big deal. It's not going to ruin the paint or the finish or anything. Wipe most of it. Leave a little behind because who really cares? Let's have a quick check. Yeah, that looks alright. Whatever. I'm going to put the top bit. And then I'm going to call this session of sub-assembly finished. And I might do some sub-assembly of the Providence. Oops. And this piece here, you can see that the 2 little holes are there. and once assembled, never going to be seen again. Now we're going to see that the same. Nope, that's a big no-no. Let's check. Yep, that one goes there. And we can let those all dry. I'll reposition them a little better. Take my photo for social media and YouTube. Put it back in the box. It's sort of weird update appearing on the computer. Is your video buffering? Try the quality option. I don't know what's going on. Piss off. Still not 100% quite well. Camera. Where's the camera? And we'll take photos of cluster of parts and then put it into the box. Documentation is a very important part of modeling. If you have a blog or anything like that, it's all sorts of interesting things you can share that is helpful, exciting, useful, and all that. We'll have a little bit look at the part. I'm just seriously happy how all of this has come out. It's very, very interesting weathering. Did not have to rely on being white. A bit of mint. A lot of people heavily rely on pre-shading, post-shading. I've done a little bit of post-shading for light purposes, but it's just mostly, you know, different uses of color and stuff. I decided the rest to be done with washes and dry brushing without making it look dirty. And you can see the edges and stuff are roughed up, and there's little paint chips and whatnot. And it's probably as much dirt and filth and stuff as you're going to get on a 20-meter tall machine of war. We've got this cluster of part, the hands. It's exciting on the other side. No, it's just a lot of freaking glue. Goes in there. Of the torso. The torso was just so much work. I am so incredibly happy how this turned out. The masking, the building, the straightening out of the resin. Absolutely crazy. And those thrusters. I'd never imagined that I would see this kit being this close to being finished. The gentleman I bought this from, because when I got it, it was just in a chocolate box. No name, title, instructions, nothing. It was a bit of a risk. I didn't even know if all the parts were there, which the owner assured it, and that happened to be the case. And getting this far with something this old is absolutely crazy. So getting the color, the shading, the weathering, that fell out again. More glue. If that fell out, it just means it's just more glue is required. Make sure some going down in that hole. The little spills out, which is doing underneath, not a big deal. That dries, won't affect the finish. Yeah, couldn't be more happy. It's not perfect. By far, it's not perfect. But getting something like this up to snuff, like, I'll have a look at, just the weathering just came out. You could see like a little bit of rust coming out of the armpit, which was that was a lot of fun to do. So kind of, I fucked it up a bit. It was too strong, and I wiped thinner, and eventually, yeah, that came to what that needed to come. Little fluid stains coming out of like the vents and stuff. The kneecap that has the tiny buildup of dirt. Using these weathering products was just came out perfectly. It's better than even some brand of modeling stuff, which is really expensive. More documentation. These legs are long and boring. There's casting problems. The panel lines were all flooded out and weird, and there were strange textures and sanding and nubs and whatnot. The panels, I spent so long just running scribes through them and stuff. So when I wash them, eventually they'll sit in properly. Completely worthwhile doing. And that took forever to do. So there you go. He's worked out. And the next step, we'll get these two onto the hips, and then we leave that. Probably the arms on the torso, and then the final will be, putting some bits and pieces together. The head, the Viva la head. Not the neatest job. The eyes are a bit derpy. Meh. And the feet. You can see the dirt underneath. And the licking of the dust going up the edges. The paint chips. The fluids going down. This is where it's going to get the most punishment. It's all glued together. And that's enough work on the Victory. I'll pull out all the parts so we saw what they look like at the start and where they are now. Can't complain about that whatsoever. I am unsure if it's going to freestand. If it freestands, it's amazing. If not, I'm going to pin the bottoms and place it on an E2047 style round or square base. So we'll put that aside. And I think, what time? 4:30. We'll do this for half an hour longer. And we shall do a bit more painting on the eyes. Oh, that doesn't have a ball bearing in it. Gonna have to fix that. I put these stainless steel ball bearings in all my paint. You have to make sure you use proper stainless steel, or otherwise it will corrode and your paint will be ruined. Proper stainless steel ball bearings, which you can get hobby grade ones from SMS or Mr. Color or whatever, is very expensive. They generally clean them and reuse them over and over again. And it just works like a rail cam for spray painting. So if it works for that, it's better than any of those gimmicky stirrers and all that sort of stuff. They just waste time and product and paint and all that sort of thing. So, okay, so I'm just using the reflection to see where the eye lump is. And we just brush the paint along it. Does seem to be pretty far apart, so we'll see how that looks later and if it needs to be repainted or whatever. Yeah, that's way far apart. What I might do is utilize it as a visor and paint it all around gold. So instead of two eyes, it's a visor. Because this Gundam isn't my own design. It doesn't have to be eyes. It doesn't have to have all the tropes that a Gundam trope has. Well, design-wise. There we go. Visor. That looks cool. That was not a bad idea at all. Clean the brush, put it in brush starch. I'll pull the instructions out and start putting this thing together so we can start decaling it. Chuck a final clear coat, and then it's done. I could put it aside, never look at it again. I'm also working on the base, but the base seems to have matted up for some reason due to how I mixed the clear with thinner and some other things. Whatever. I'll get the base out and show you guys. So did some painting and stuff on it. There you go. That's looking really good, is it not? Can't complain about that. We'll, once it gets one more sanding, we'll put a gloss coat. I think we won't be able to complain much. So that's good. Pull these bits and pieces out, and let's get the instructions. We're still filming. One person. Here we go. I'll go to the start of this thing. And get this roller coaster started. Oh yeah, I have to put this in starch or something. That's done. To me, brush fluid is not too bad at all. Very cheap too, but I bought it in Japan. And I don't think I'll ever run out of that stuff. Did a YouTube video and everything. So gently empty. So we're not losing pieces or anything. And got these parts. Get the orientation right. And just start picking out the components we need to get this assembly on its way. His torso is a bit on the tricky side to do. Ooh. Okay, there we go. It's still got that part there. Cool. And it needs the red bits. So here's the red bit. And we're just going to make sure that it's going in the correct direction. So that's going this way. And this is not very interesting viewing material, but that's alright. It goes there. Cool. And Jesus Christ. Fuck me. We got this huge part, and that goes there. Cool. And there's this F1 part. which I believe is this thing, and I modified this quite nicely, so that's alright. So if we know that that goes there, we can pull these two bits out, do a quick test fit, cool, and chuck a bit of PVA glue in because this is the final assembly. And being it tightly fits master grade kit, unlike the resin thing we've been doing, we do not have to use a lot of glue. So that goes in like that. I believe that goes like that. I'll double check, I'll triple check. I want to make sure that I've got it assembled correctly. This goes like this. And then this final bit, we just need to put a little PVA glue down that hole. Like so. Bit of a scratch. Yes! So there we go. Some of it coming together. You can see all the weathering and the gloss and whatnot's in play and the painting. And yeah, it's kind of a bit cool. Can't complain about that at all. And I believe this is assembled in some, if I've got the orientation right, which I might not have. Well, we'll find out later. Okay, so we're looking at that. That goes here. But it's touching that part. So why is it doing that? Let's pull apart and flip it around. No, that doesn't work. And we'll reassemble. Oh, that didn't go in correctly. Now it has. There should have been a bit of glue going in here as well. Yes, I should have done that. It's a good thing we pulled it apart one last time. And then that way it will never come back apart again. Cool, cool, cool. Fuck. I gotta say, this is it's a complex kit. Like just for an initial snap and stuff, not too bad. But once you're going for the whole modifying and all that sort of stuff, yeah, it gets busy. Ah, yes, there we go. Okay, so that's sorted. Let's get some more PVA glue down. Time check. Glue here. Glue there. And this part, I believe, snaps there. As soon as we get an orientation that makes it fit, except I got glue all over my thumb now. So I'll wipe it on my apron instead of on the model. Get a tad of tissue. Wipe it up a bit. 40-minute stream, not too bad. Little glue here. And we want some glue in this hole and connector as well. So we'll run this bad boy across there and bang. Nice effect. And we've got this interesting gold finish, cutouts, bit of weathering. Everything is just going absolutely nuts. So that's all assembled. It's all there. That's all there. And I think this needs to go on the back or something. Yeah, like that. Gotta check to make sure I get the cables on at the right time. Yeah, that happens a tad later. There's just so much happening. Like, where the shit did those two parts go? They seem pretty important. Something's not quite right. So we got these. How the I get it. Wait. There's something like that, and it goes into there. Yeah, we can sort that out later. Whatever. So we'll snap this big bit in the back there. So we'll find out how it goes together. Cool, like that. And we figure out where we're going to stick the glues and stuff. So I think I might stick it on the back. More glue. Like that, like that. We've got a bit of a lag going. Yes, that snapped together beautifully. That was a good sound. Got all the articulation points and whatnot. Okay, so these guys here like that, and pretty sure. Yep, that's correct. Cool. So that goes there. This goes here once it's fully in, which it is. Bang. So that's assembled. So that's all in. That's up there. That's up there. Aha. So this piece, one of my favorite modified bits, goes in. So there's a little bit of gluing that needs to be done. So it's a fairly loose piece. I've removed so much plastic on it so it shows off in a frame. It's not funny. Little bit in there. And that goes on here, showing all the glory of the underneath inner frame. The next component is this guy here that goes on there. So there are 4 points for glue. Not a lot's required. Here, 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 and here. And that just clicks into place. And you can see the gold and a little bit of weathering and whatnot. And this is just really, really popping together. I'm just going to click this in for the sake of clicking in. So that's cool. And yeah, I'm kind of very, very pleased with... oh, that's broken off something. I don't know what. So that's not too cool. And we've done about a page of work. Okay, so we've got the thrusters going on. Ooh, that looks important. I don't know what that belongs to. I think the head, so that's alright. We're going to make sure that all of that comes together. I don't want to lose any parts. We'll do a quick test fit with our little thrusters and stuff, and yeah, that's looking pretty tight. And you got the colors, burnt iron, like 2 different types of burnt iron. As my stream lagged, no, I was just standing still for a very short period of time reading. Okay, so we'll pop you out and we'll put a little bit of glue on the inside. Again, PVA glue. PVA glue is the Gunpla glue of champions post-painting. Oh, wrong one. Wait, how did I screw that up twice? Wow, I can't get this right. It's got to be in that one. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, it's got to be this one. Yes. Cool. And we'll assemble the other one. Put the glue in. Excellent. We'll do a bit of a test fit, making sure they go where they belong. Cool. Oi. Then we glue the shit out of them in the back. So I remember these were very loose and stuff. So lots and lots of glue. Again, it does not matter if it seeps out a bit. There you go. You can see the glory of the different colors, the inner frame showing. It's a lot of fun. I think we'll be calling it quits fairly shortly. So I can brush up and get out of here. Get to work, and I'll try to stream again tomorrow. Wait, what's going on here? There we go. Why you no want to... What? Is it because I didn't test fit it? There we go. Didn't slide in right. It's really hard to see where it's meant to slide in and whatnot when... there we go. Really hard to see where it's meant to slide in and stuff when you got PVA glue all over the place. Should have done a test fit. That's alright. Seeing all that mechanical detail and stuff, I wasn't that pleased if I did the painting that well or not. But looking at it now, yeah, it's virtually almost completely spot on. Put some rubber. What time is it? 50. Cool. So the rubber is a huge pain in the ass. So we've got the orientation right. Cool. PVA responds to rubber. How cool is that? So once this is stuck in, where is it going into the front? It's one of those holes. There we go. And there we go. Oh shit, need to take the thrusters off because the tubing is meant to go on first. So chuck on some tubing. Take those two off. Put a bit of glue behind the tubing. Shit, son. Fuck. I have mucked around with this tubing so much during the modification progress, it's not funny. So, shit. Stay the fuck on. And then we can put the thrusters back on. And my legs are starting to fall asleep. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Now it doesn't want to fit too well, does it? Okay, so that's in good. Cool. We'll get the really hard one to get on. And we shall twist and play and sort, and it's not wanting to cooperate. The peg won't go into the right hole. Other things are falling off. I'm getting pissed. I'm gonna rage and spurg out. Yes! And we got it in after making a fucking mess. Shit. I think we might call it quits there. And we'll put in everything in one of these sort of bags. This fell out for some reason. I don't know why the fuck it did that. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you guys next time.